Hi, so today we start with Etruscan mythology, but we have to do an historical introduction for the Etruscans. So let's see what happened in Italy before the birth of Roman civilization. That's the most renowned for ancient Italy. So there was the Etruscan civilization that the Roman historian Livy, in his History of Rome, book first, defined as the most important and powerful in Italy before the Romans. So this is meaningful that the Romans were aware about this. Before Rome, so there were the Etruscans. An apparently mysterious but surprisingly also incredibly modern culture that inspired the ancient Roman world and through it our contemporary times. So using a 21st century perspective, so our perspective, as well for sure as primary sources, very important for the Etruscans, archaeological evidence. Through this, we can decipher the mysterious origins of the most and fascinating inhabitants of Italy, and so establish incredible links to the present. So here we have two incredible frescoes in tombs of Etruscan Tarquinia, one of the most important cities of the land of the Etruscans. So, and did you know the Etruscans were the first in Europe to accept gender equality? So we could start from here to see the connection with our modern world incredibly for this ancient time. Did you know that they play sports and music? For example, you can see here in the two frescoes. So today we, and especially in these hard times, we are using internet, Facebook and Instagram. But could you even imagine that all of this started in some ways 3,000 years ago with short messages that the Etruscans were putting on their objects or meaningful pictures. So they were reproducing their life all over their monuments. So through the study of the Etruscan, we can discover really the origin of many things, for example, of many sports, boxing, wrestling, and then the origin of music instruments, as drums, as the flute, and through an exploration of their music, sports, then fashion, architecture, nutrition and diseases, besides their profound religious and mythological culture, we can have a good appreciation of their art, culture and civilization. Very advanced. But so, the Greeks, especially the Western Greeks, so the one who moves early in the 8th century BC from Greece to Italy, so that's why we can call them the Western Greeks, influenced very much the Etruscans. So in many forms that are building up an entire culture and civilization. For example, the writing system. So especially the Greeks who arrived first, they arrived from Euboea, the island near Attica, the region of Athens. They established their first colonies in the Gulf of Naples, and so they brought with them their alphabet that you can see here in this picture. Then here you can see the Etruscan alphabet. So they modified a little bit, but is very similar, you see, to the capital letters of the Greek alphabet. So this is the first great cultural influence for sure. Then in agriculture. So they taught to the Etruscans how to produce wine and oil that will become two of the major trading goods for the Etruscans. And then engineering, for example, city planning, shipbuilding, and others. Then social behaviors, for example, banquets that the Greeks were calling symposium, and many others. And then for sure art, many techniques of monumental painting, frescoes, or painting, pottery, sculpture, and etc. So let's see where the Etruscans were living. So before the Romans, we said they were the most important civilization in central Italy. In the whole first millennium, so 1,000 years before BCE, extending their power in all the Italian peninsula and around the Mediterranean. So you can see here in the map with these arrows their expansion. Then it was a great civilization based especially on the natural resources of their land, especially the rich mineral resources. And then they were the first creating the institution of the city. Then at the end, they became totally integrated with Romans. This will happen in the 1st century BCE. The location of the Etruscans, so in central Italy and at Rome, very doorstep, so their land arrived till here, till Rome, and their contemporaneity with the Greeks and early Romans, so are therefore of great significance for the cultural history of the entire Mediterranean. The Etruscan civilization, so we said, influenced very deeply the Roman one in all fields, but particularly political, cultural, religious, artistic, and technical ones. Then Rome defeated the Etruscan cities one by one and incorporated them in its territory. But the Etruscans continued to be important political and religious personalities in Rome and in Roman Italy, where there were Etruscan areas in Rome, so Etruscan districts. So the Etruscans continued to live as Roman citizens, deeply influencing from the inside Rome culture and Roman institutions. But who were the Etruscans? So they are kind of mysterious for their origin and for their very different language. But so Etruscans, the name comes from the people of central Italy, who the ancient Romans called Etrusci, so that's why Etruscans, or Tusci. Tusci, so, will give the name to the region, Tuscany, Tusci, Tuscany. The Greeks themselves were calling the Etruscans Tirrenoi, from which also the Latins will draw the names Tirreni, Tirrenia, and Tirrenum Mare, Tyrrhenian Sea. So you see, if the Western Sea of Italy still is called the Tyrrhenian Sea with their name, this means that they were very, very influential in this part of Italy. The Etruscans themselves, for sure, had their own name, so they used to call themselves Ravenna. And where did they live? So this is their land, called Etruria. The Romans gave this name, Etrusci, Etruria, the land. So from the 9th century BCE, the Etruscan civilization flourished in this region. This region of central Italy, western central Italy, bounded to the north by the river Arno, the river of Florence, as you remember, and to the south and east by the Tiber River. So their region included modern-day Tuscany, northern Latium, so the region of Rome, and Umbria, as you can see here in the map. This region in the very center of Italy. Their land, so especially, was Tuscany, and then northern Latium and Umbria. Then they expanded with colonies in the north, especially in the plain of the Po River and part of the eastern coast of Italy, and then had colonies to the south too, in Campania, so where there were still Greek colonies. So you can see the close-up. This is the main region of the Etruscans, Etruria, with many cities, including Fiesole, because Florence was not there. Florence was then founded by the Romans. Their land was very rich of natural resources, so having fertile plains, then very rich of mineral natural resources, the only region in Italy having so many minerals where to exploit metals. Then very rich in forests, so that's why they use wood for much of their buildings and for shipbuilding especially. And then so it was a land full of coasts, and this opened the civilization to the foreign contacts and maritime trade. So in their heyday, that was centered in the 7th and 6th century BCE, the Etruscans were the major power in Italy, with no doubt. And so dispute the hegemony of Central and Western Mediterranean with the Greeks. The Greek culture, for this, deeply affected the Etruscan one, and the Etruscans, as we said, in turn had a profound effect to early Rome, as it grew up on their southern boundary, and so was part of their territory. No other population living in the Italian peninsula before the Romans left so many inscriptions. We have found, unfortunately, only the inscriptions on objects and monuments and not their books, even if they were called the people of the books. Produced so many works of art and influenced so deeply the other populations nearby, including the Roman one. So, another important Roman writer in the 2nd century BCE is saying nearly the whole of Italy was once under Etruscan rule. So this is very important because we have only to rely on the comments of Latin and Greek writers, because we don't have the Etruscan original books. But the Romans were very informed and aware, even centuries afterwards, about the great power of the Etruscans in the whole Italian peninsula. Okay, so we'll go on in the next video with the history and culture of the Etruscans. Ciao, see you soon.